This is Rebecca with RebeccasRoadmap.com, and the book of the month for March is Atomic Habits by James Clear. So I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about what I thought about this book, so you might know whether or not you want to read it. Okay, so I was kind of excited to start reading this book because habits have been my downfall so far for 2019. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't buy this book or read this book, but it's not my favorite book. I think it's probably a lot like some other books because, quite frankly, I was reading it thinking, have I read this book before? It's kind of repeating information that I've heard other places. And there were, I guess, lots of kind of stories in there, like maybe too much stuff about stories and not enough stuff about this is what you should do, which is what I like. Just tell me what I need to do. So I'm going to kind of give you the breakdown, the highlights of what I thought was good about this book. So, you know, maybe you don't have to buy it if you don't want to, or you'll hear the highlights and think, I need to hear more about that, or I need to learn more about that, and you can buy the book if you want. So, here goes. And I've got notes, so, you know, if I'm looking down, that's why. So, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. I thought this was a very good statement. So, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them, kind of like those pennies you keep putting in the bank. There's little noticeable difference on a daily basis when you complete your habits. But over the long term, they really add up. And looking back over time, you can really see the value of good habits over bad habits. Think 5 years, 10 years, however long back, if you would have started doing something then, how much further along would you be today? So this book is called Atomic Habits, and he defines an atomic habit as a tiny change or a 1% improvement, something that you just can't see it so small. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus on who you want to be rather than what you want to achieve. So what habits will get you to be the person that you want to be? Because every action you take is a vote for the person that you want to be. So, you know, what is a habit? A habit is a behavior that's repeated over and over again so that it becomes automatic. You don't think about it, you just do it. And according to James Clear, a habit can be broken into 4 parts. The cue, which is what tells you to start. The craving, which is what you want. The response, which is what you do. And the reward, which is what you get. So one of my kind of routines or habits is what I call my when I get home routine. So the cue is when I get home and walk in the door, I set my stuff usually on my bed. And the craving is I really don't want my stuff on my bed. I like my bed to be clean. So that makes me automatically put all the stuff up. I hang my jacket up, and I hang my bag up, and I hang my purse up, and all the places that those things belong. So my reward is that I get the bed cleaned off like I like it. So kind of see how that works. And then he also goes over the 4 parts of behavior change, which is to make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. But you also need to be aware of your habits before you can change them. And your cues usually entail a time and location. Pair a new habit that you want with a time and location. You can also pair a new habit that you want with an existing habit, which is habit stacking. So if I wanted to do something else when I got home, I could simply add it on to the last thing that I did, which was put my purse up in my kind of get home routine. And in fact, I did do this because then I added feed the dog and feed the cat onto that. So I would make sure that I did that and I don't have to think about it. I do all those things in steps now. So you need to make sure your cues stand out, that you recognize them, because that's where everything starts. I think getting home is a pretty big cue. What do you do when you get home? Probably going to bed. When it's time for bed, it's probably a cue. Finishing dinner could be a cue. So kind of see where they're like stopping and starting points in your day. Those would be good times for cues. Another thing you can do is change your environment for success. And one thing I want to try to add to my morning routine is to do morning pages. So my goal is to clean my nightstand off and set it up with a tablet and so forth, so I can do my morning pages when I wake up. So I don't have to think, oh, where is that? I need to go get that. When I wake up, it's there ready for me. So that's kind of one way you can kind of set yourself up for success. You can get rid of a bad habit by making it less obvious. So I guess the cue is less obvious. Like deleting the app from their phone if you don't want to get on there. You won't see the app little icon to cue you to get on to that app, and then, you know, take your time doing something that you really don't want to do. And the more attractive something is, the more likely you are to do it. You compare something that you need to do with something that you want to do. Like my husband and I are taking dance lessons, so I want to practice dancing. But I need to sweep the floor in the living room where we practice dancing. So my thought is to pair those two together. So if I take 5 minutes to sweep the floor in the living room and get that ready to go for us to do our practice dancing, that kind of is a need and a want tied together to make a new habit stack. Also remember that we tend to adopt the habits of those around us. So one thing you can do is to put yourself in a group where people already have the habit. You can find somebody to work on the habit with you. So those are two things that you can do. For me, eating healthy is easy because my husband eats healthy with me. He's not bringing in junk into the house. And if I go to buy something, he kind of is like, do you really need that? You know, are you sure you want to eat that kind of a thing? So that's me working with someone to make my habit is more attractive because you're kind of doing it in a group. It's also, it's also a good idea to make your habit easy to repeat. So it's better to do something for 2 minutes than to not do it at all. You can tell yourself you can stop in 2 minutes. That will get you to start the habit. And if you want to keep going, you can keep going. But if you want to stop after 2 minutes, you can stop it. That kind of helps it make it a little bit more attractive. And if you do start a new habit and you're only working it for 2 minutes, then it's easy to improve it. But if you don't ever start the habit, then you can't ever improve it. It's better to do something for 2 minutes than not do it at all. But you can't, because you can't improve a habit that doesn't exist. So another thing he says is to make your habit satisfying. More likely to repeat a behavior if the experience is satisfying. So some people like to habit track, and this kind of plays into making it satisfying so you can see it visually. I personally like to do a don't break the chain calendar, where every day that I work on whatever habit is I'm tied to my calendar, I put an X on it. So I can visually see, which mine is like working on my stuff. I can visually see, yes, I actually did some work every day that I was supposed to. Or you can also have a cost to inaction. This is kind of a carrot and a stick thing, where you can sign up for a program and it costs you money if you don't meet your goal or you don't do the habit. There's lots of those things out there. I personally don't like them, but hey, I'm just throwing the stuff out there for you that he kind of mentioned in the book. One very important thing is to not get bored. I get bored very easy. I know I do, so I have to kind of make things fun for myself. He says that we work at peak motivation when we're kind of on the edge of what we can do, kind of have some little stretch goals. I guess they're stretch habits, things we're kind of have to work a little bit harder on. Those help us to keep from getting bored. Another problem with boredom is you stop paying attention. When you stop paying attention, things can kind of go off the rails a little bit, right? So you need to pay attention and kind of be deliberate with your habits, even though they're habits and they're automatic. Still, you know, pay a little bit of attention to what's going on. One thing that helps with that is review. So have some sort of process of review for your week to make sure that you're actually doing the habits that you said you were going to do. We all know that we need to review things. So this just ties into habits and habit tracking and making sure you're doing what you say you want to do, so that you can remain conscious of your performance over time. So in his concluding chapter, he says that the secret to getting results that last is to never stop making improvements. So if you keep up with your atomic habits and you make little 1% improvements every day, every week, you just keep making these little improvements. You keep having a goal to reach for. It stays off boredom, keeps you engaged, and keeps you deliberate about what you're doing. So those are the highlights of Atomic Habits by James Clear. Really, those are the highlights. So if you think this is a book that you might want to read, I'll put a link down below so you can pick that up on Amazon. Also available on Audible, which is how I read it. Because this was a book, I actually bought the Kindle and the Audible version, and I couldn't really get into it. When I'm into a book, I like to take notes and really kind of think about things and write things down and go, oh yeah, you know, they spark ideas and stuff. This book really only sparked one series of ideas, and that was to add new habits to my existing routines. So I think that this book is good for that. But some of the other stuff, I just felt like it was, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. It wasn't something that I thought that I would incorporate in my life, or something that I thought was useful to me. Of course, I'm a person who doesn't like habit trackers either, other than the Don't Break the Chain calendar. But if you are that type of person, maybe this book is a little bit more for you. With that being said, I just want to thank you for watching my video. And if you like this kind of thing, give it a thumbs up. If you read this book and you have a different opinion from me, or if I missed something, please leave it down in the comments below and tell me what you liked or didn't like about the book. And if you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, because why not? And I will see you on my next video. Bye. Why not always shake my hands and then say bye afterwards? I don't know. I just do. It's kind of weird, right? Because I can kind of see myself in the camera and I'm waving my hands and then I say bye, and I don't know. It's weird, but I don't think I'm the only one who does that. Okay, bye.